Hey folks, Mel the Terrain Tutor back in the studio. I'm back with another realistic rock series video for you. Yes, we're back in the Hills, Cliffs and Rocks playlist, and we're continuing with our series of doing different rock painting styles and techniques to cover a broad range that you can pick from for your wargaming terrain. Now in this video we're actually doing two techniques, not one but two techniques, because they're really quick techniques. They're wet techniques. Now first off, we're going to be tackling the traditional leopard spotting technique and using multiple colours and washes to create realistic rock surfaces. After that, we're going to be tackling acrylic inks and showing you how just a couple of drops of acrylic ink into water can produce some beautiful results. Before we jump into the technique, guys, remember, if you are subscribed, unless you ring that bell and get notifications, you've only actually got a 16% chance or a 1 in 8 chance of actually seeing my videos in your feed. So ring that bell. And if you are going to give this technique a go, remember there's a link down below to the Terrainiacs group. It's 19,000 strong now, so jump in the group on Facebook and post your stuff on there, or post it on normal social media and tag me in it at the Terrain Tutor on Facebook, on Instagram and on Twitter. And finally, if you really like the vids, remember there's links to patrons and PayPal down below. It all helps keep the lights on, the cameras rolling and me bringing these techniques for you. So, shall we jump into it? Come on! We're going to be using this Woodland Scenics mould to cast up the rock face we're going to be painting. First job is to level it off, and for that I'm using a damp rag just to keep it relatively level. Next up, it's time to mix our casting powder, and for that I'm using Crystal R. This is a casting powder used for making industrial moulds. It's incredibly strong, and it's mixed 2 parts powder to 1 part water. Once it's poured into the moulds and slightly levelled off, I give the table a good bang to loosen out any air bubbles. Now you can use a vibration table, and you can pre-soak the moulds in wet water, which is water with dish detergent to stop the bubbles, but I just find this way quicker. After about 10 minutes, it's ready to demould, and it's strong enough to come out as a single piece with no worries. Next job is to clean it up a little, removing any of the little flash bits from where it's overspilled the mould lines. And then finally picking out any air bubbles I didn't manage to bang out of it. And there you have it, the perfect rock mould for us to crack on with painting. So come on, let's get cracked on. So for the leopard spotting technique that we're going to be using on this, it seems only fair to use Woodland Scenics colours. Now the reason I'm saying this is because I've got a load of their learning kits. Okay, now in these learning kits, this is the rock face one. You get all sorts of things, including a rock mold, plaster bandage, casting powder, and these pigments, which is what we're going to use since we're working on Woodland Scenics. I do recommend the Woodland Scenics learning kits. For railroaders, they're designed to sort of just have a little play. But for terrain makers, a single kit can help you make loads of pieces. And they're like $20. The mold inside is, I think, $20. So they're a great saving. So I really recommend checking out their rock kits, their water kits, and their tree kits are a great way of getting loads of tree armatures and the clump foliage really cheaply. But I digress. Now we've got their pigment colours here. These are high concentrated acrylic pigments. Oh, we've got black, a burnt umber, and that looks like a yellow ochre, a creamy ochre. Okay, now you can get these pigments in larger containers. They do them in these sort of containers. This is earth color pigments. They are just acrylics, so you can just use your acrylics. Now when it comes to leopard spotting is a wash technique, but it's a contrast wash technique. And what the basic principle is that we're going to use 2 of the colors to get a bit of variant on the piece, yeah, and then one to actually just bring them all together, and that's going to be our black. Now to get this effect, what we've got to do is we've got to make these stronger than our blending coat. Yeah, so I've got some water here, okay, and we're going to dilute down these in those cups, and then we're going to double dilute the black down. Now the strength is completely down to you, okay, but these are highly concentrated pigments, so they need really sort of thinning down, shall I say. So let's make a mess. About half of that I want in there. There we go. Half of that one in there. Half of... this is going to get messy. Clippers. half in here. And then I'm just going to put half into the double water. So that's our solutions all mixed up. We've got our yellow ochre, we've got our burnt umber, and we've got our diluted black. And what I've got here is I've got a bit of a sponge applicator. You can squirt these on, you can brush them on with a large sort of fine bristle brush that'll, you know, hold plenty of much liquid. But I'm going to use this. Okay, I'm just going to pre-soak it. Yeah, so it doesn't sort of hold the pigment. And what I'm going to do is when I apply this, I'm going to essentially split this into thirds. I'm going to apply one colour to 1/3, I'm going to apply one colour to 1/3, and I'm going to leave a third. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this out. I'm also going to let these colours run. Yeah, so we're going to start off with our lightest. Yeah, and we're just going to dab it on, dab it on, dab it on there. A bit more. Yeah, on the top. Yeah, and you'll notice I've left gaps between them. Yeah, we'll reinforce that one a bit more, and reinforce that one a bit more, and reinforce that one just a little. Yeah, and that's all it takes to just get that ochre colour on there. Take off the excess. Yeah, this is a really quick technique. One of the things I do recommend is that you do your rocks before you do your groundwork and paint your ground. Because as you can see, yeah, as you apply these, they do run off. Okay, so onto the brown. And what we're going to do with the brown is we're going to apply it there, 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 and there. I'm going to try and keep, yeah, some grey spaces. That's quite weak, isn't it? That's all right. Yeah, suck up the excess. Reinforce it if you need to. Just going back over it, add a bit more pigment. Okay, and that's that done. Now, as you can see, yeah, immediately it's soaking in, it's taking the colour to the rock. I've left some gaps where there's some white, perhaps not as many as I should have, but it's all right. The final job, and it is dead easy, is we're just going to get our black. Once all that's soaked in, and we're just going to apply it all over the top. And what this will do is it will blend it together, and it will give it its recesses, its shadows, and all that. So coming in, yeah, here we go. Moment of truth. Yeah, come on, let's get this black on. I want to darken this up. Yeah, this is the blending coat. You may have to do this twice, okay, to sort of get the darkness in, depending on how dilute you've done your black and the end result that you want. So that's coming together nicely. Yeah, I'm going to let that soak in. We'll give it a quick flash, and then we'll come back and I'll apply another coat. Right, so that's all dry now, and it's looking rather good, but the yellow's a bit strong for me, to be truthful, against the brown. So I've thickened up my brown a little by adding a little bit more brown in, and because it's a wet technique, we can just come in and knock those back a bit. Yeah, take the excess off, put a bit in there, that's better. Yeah, it was just a little too light for me, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, and that is much better. Now, once again, clean off our dabber, and then we're going to come back in with our black again, and we're going to darken this down. Oh, that's nice and dark. Yeah. Come on, all over. Come on. As you can see, it all pooling with the black down here. This is why this is one of those techniques that you need to do, yeah, before you paint your groundwork. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to get a black wash all over your lovely groundwork. Yeah, so let's really knock this back a bit and get some shadows on there. There, that's it. Now we're getting it in the recesses, and then finally. Now the important thing to notice is, look how much of my pigment I've actually used, yeah, doing this piece. Yeah, remember, they're only out of these little pots, so it doesn't take much to actually pull this off. Now what I'm doing is I'm just removing any excess and just guiding it a little, to be truthful. Yeah, to get a bit of more recessing. Yeah. Now what I need to do is just leave that to dry. And now it's all dried, yeah, you can see how it's all blended together. That extra bit of darkening it up has worked really well. Yeah, we've blended the yellow ochre in with the brown, and that black wash has just pulled it all together. And because it's a wash, all the recesses have stayed lighter, giving it a natural highlight. Now, the key thing to remember with this is, yeah, I've used hardly any pigment. I've still got tons, yeah, of my thin pigment left. So this is a technique that can very quickly be used to do large rock areas using very little materials. Just remember, it is a wet technique, so it's going to get messy. So you're best off doing your rocks first and then coming in doing your groundwork and your grass work afterwards. Don't leave this until after you've done your groundwork, and certainly don't leave it until after you've done your grass work, otherwise you're going to have problems. Now, all that needs is this to be sealed off, as all rock faces need to be sealed. And it is good to go. Once again, the technique is about applying thirds, going with those lighter colours, yeah, really nice and dilute, applying them, leaving space to break it up, and then using the black wash to tie it all together, resulting in a beautiful piece. Now, that being said, yeah, because this is such a quick technique to do, yeah, we might as well look at another wash technique while we're here and we're doing it and we've got everything out. So what I'd like to do is I want to show you just a quick acrylic ink washing technique. Yeah, it's only a quickie, but I think you'll like it. Right, let me get set up. Now for our second technique, okay, which is even quicker and just a single colour, we're moving into acrylic ink. So I've got some acrylic ink here, okay, and acrylic ink differs from paint in that the pigment is far finer but far stronger. So what I've done is I've poured some water into there and I've just put 2 drops of ink into that, yeah, to get it that dark. Okay, now this technique can be applied straight on, much like the leopard spotting technique, but I find it's best if you pre-wet the surface first. So I've got a nice clean brush, I've got some nice clean water, yeah, and there looks like there's something in this brush. There looks like there's a brown in it. Cheeky. That's all right. And all I'm going to do is just flood it. Yeah, this will help, yeah, the ink to flow. You can use a flow aid, but the ink does stain, whereas if you can load it up with water, yeah, it will help it sort of flow. So while it's still wet, and we've got to be quick, yeah, we get our ink and we just start applying it. Yeah, just dab it on. Don't miss anywhere. Yeah, reload. Once again, another messy technique. You can see how because it's wet, it's helping it to flow. Yeah, and I'm just going to keep going along. Yeah, I'm just adding my ink. Now, the important thing with this is to let it soak and dry before you go back. The plaster will soak in most of the moisture, leaving the pigment on top. And so if you apply too heavily and too wet and keep going, yeah, your end results will be incredibly dark. So the tip is put it on, let it soak in, let it dry, and straight away, yeah, that's what you get. 2 drops of ink in that much water, yeah, put on a wet with just that. So let me have a little play and see if I can reinforce a few things. So let's reinforce a few cracks there. Let's darken that down a bit, bring those details out. And all I'm doing here is I'm just selectively, yeah, applying the black rather than applying it all over the broad area. Yeah, just so I can use it to run into the recesses and really sort of create those cracks. Ooh, bit too much in there. There we go. And I think if I carry on, I'm going to knacker it. Yeah. So there you are with that one. Look how easy that is. 2 drops of ink in a bit of water. Yeah, applied to a rock surface with just a bit of water on it. And straight away, you've got this really nice sort of... it's almost Nordic. Do you know what I mean? That stark white grey sort of contrast that you get with rocks. Remember, you can come in afterwards, and if you want to be a little bit cheeky, yeah, since I'm here, go on then. I have no idea how this is going to... Should I do... No, don't. I'm not going to do this until I've taken a photo of this for the thumbnail. Yeah, so let me take a photo of this and then we'll have a quick little play and we'll wrap it up. Yeah, got the photo now so I can have a little bit of a play. So what I'm going to do is I've got a bit of my brown over there. Just introduce a bit of colour to it. Now, I really should have done this before, yeah, I put the, on. Before they actually put the grey wash on, because the grey sort of blends it all together. But a little bit of brown and a little bit, just a little bit of that yellow, because that can be quite strong. It's running right off the surface now. Right. And let's just break up those areas a little. Yeah, I'm looking at the piece, and what I'm looking for is I'm looking for areas which are just stark and plain. Yeah, and using this to sort of just break them up a little. Yeah, a bit of brown there. Yeah, it always gets muddy near the bottom and in the recesses. Right, there you go. And if we very quickly just wipe my desk, this is why you do it before you do your groundwork. Yeah, straight away. Yeah, just adding a couple of thin paints. Yeah, just breaks that up lovely. Absolutely lovely. I quite like that. I like that more than I thought I'd like that. Yeah. Right, so there you are, guys. Right, as always, yeah, leopard spotting, just remember, yeah, you got to put your colours down, contrasting colours, you like colours, dilute them a lot, only place them so they take up 2/3, yeah, so your two colours, one for 1/3, one for the other third, leave the other third bare, then come in with the black wash, which is more diluted, and blend them together. In the case of this one, just 2 drops of acrylic ink into, into that much water was enough to very quickly give this all shadow, and then we just came in with these browns and and just, you know, took it off grey tone, if you know what I mean, and that's turned out lovely. I'm really chuffed with that. So guys, let's wrap this up. So that's it for this technique, guys. Remember, if you're after more rock techniques, you'll find them in the Hills, Rocks and Cliffs playlists on the screen right now. And if you really like the channel, then you can also subscribe or support it on Patreon for extra benefits. And in the meantime, guys, let me know in the comments what rocks you'd like me to cover in future videos, and I'll get cracked on with those. And I'll see you soon. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra!